And we are live. Today, we have a very interesting guest. Welcome to the Fox Den, everybody. I know it has been a while since I've been here. I had my little procedure done. I'm doing well. And then I was babysitting the little pipsqueak dog, my grandpuppy right here for all of last week. So I couldn't do a show. And then I had to recover after getting home from watching him. Now, he is this big and he thinks he's a giant, but we are going to be talking about giants tonight in history. So let me quickly read FK's bio, and then we'll get this show started. So this week, we welcome FK Sterling. He is a writer and independent researcher whose work examines the intersections of history, science, and unexplained phenomena. Raised in the Ozarks, FK developed an early interest in regional folklore, ancient mysteries, and the stories that persist at the edges of accepted knowledge. His earlier work examined anomalous experiences in local legends, including long-standing reports of unidentified aerial phenomena and cryptic encounters in the American heartland. These projects laid the groundwork for a broader inquiry into how myth, environment, and biology intersect, an approach that culminated In Search of Giants, which is this big old bad boy right here. And writing as F.K. Sterling, he offers a balanced, research-based view on topics often seen as fringe, looking for evidence when available and providing human context when certainty is hard to achieve. We are going to be discussing not only In Search of Giants, but he has also two other books, Alien Harvest, The Ozark Connection, and Ancient Ozarks, Giants in Caves, Star People on Stone, and the Underground Worlds That Rewrote American History. Welcome to the show, FK. You have been one busy man.
Yes, I have been very busy, still working. So, how are you?
I am good. I'm good. It feels good to be back on. I've missed
Yeah.
it. I've missed this and getting ready. But while I was away, I did not get an opportunity to read the book. I did skim some of the book. I read a few of the things. I went to the chapters that definitely ignited my interest, and we'll be talking about that also later. And you were so kind to send me, and I have these little tidbits about your other books. Now, I don't have Ancient Ozarks, but I do have Alien Harvest as a PDF on my
Yes.
computer, which I did go over, which is really interesting. So let's start with the giant in the room.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. So tell me what sparked the idea for this book, for In Search of the Giants.
Well, I began my search into the giant phenomenon simply by accident. When I got out of college, I was reading a book by David Childress, who was mentioning some giants in reference to Charles Fort, who wrote various books on anomalous finds, so forth and so on. So then I started really peeking up on that, and I wanted to investigate it just a little bit more to see what was really into that. So ended up reading some major books, including a book called Lost Race of the Giants. And I originally gotten to the point that I was expanding on that research, and over time, it became more than just a simple investigation. It began into something that I wanted to write a whole book on. And so that's what evolved into In Search of Giants.
Very cool. Now, I mean, growing up, everybody has, in their religions and whatnot. And I was raised a Catholic. So, of course, we had, the Book of Enoch. We had, I'm going to put this picture up here. There we go. So, like, we heard about the giants in the Bible and, things like that. So, like, we kind of knew of their existence. But it's like I mean, like the cryptids we talk about a lot. People are searching for the cryptids all the time. Why not the giants? I mean, what it seems like there's this big mystique around these giants, and a lot of the artifacts and the history and the things that were found are hidden.
There is a couple things is that how I view giants. I'm a Mormon, and in the Book of Mormon, they talk about the Jaredites, who were a noble people who came from the Tower of Babel, who the Lord did not confound their language. And they were just described as, just like the giants or the Nephilim, as mighty, great, heroic men of high stature, a great physical power and physical stature, but who also had tremendous technology. And I see the giants, at least I see multiple different types of giants, but one of the giants I talk about, especially in the book that I wrote, is a group of people who were just simply taller than the rest of the people on Earth at that time. At that time, people were around 5'5", 5'6". These people were well over 6 foot in height, 6'7", 6'8". We have ancient Egyptian pharaohs who were 6'7". We have several remnants in Italy, again 6'7". The Cro-Magnon peoples of Northern Europe, who Robert Sepper connects to the Atlanteans, were well over 6'5". And so I see these people, and I do connect them to Atlantis. I believe that they were of unique stature and they were technologically sophisticated. Many of them were red-haired and blonde and light skin, and later on, other cultures began to immortalize them in their legends as gods and giants. And that's where some of these legends come from. We have other legends of different types of giants, like the Sasquatch and the wild men, who are also described as being high stature, but they're more aboriginal, more animal-like in their description, hairy, animal-like, vicious monsters, if you will, cryptids. So you have a variety of different types of beings. You have the Denisovans, like Dragon Man, who is a human, but proto-human and very robust and bigger than the average human. And Andrew Collins connects them to early American cultures and the builders of Göbekli Tepe. I don't know how much truth there is to that, but that's his theory. I don't really subscribe to it. I think that it's a little more than that, but I do think the Denisovans were probably of giant stature. But I think the population that was coming over here to the Americas was an entirely different population. I don't believe it was Denisovan. And I don't believe they built Göbekli Tepe. They were not in that area. But I do believe that there were sophisticated peoples of tall stature, and also many other beings, the jinn being one of them, in the Quranic and pre-Islamic Arabian tradition, these pre-Adamic beings who were of enormous height. And of course, the Nephilim, described not only in the Bible, but also, as you said, the Book of Enoch. Also talk about lost races in the Talmud and the Zohar, in which not only are they talking about previous ages with advanced beings, but also cycles of time in which different civilizations rose and fell before the time of Adam.
Right. Now, do you think, like, if this, going back into the Bible and beyond that, now you had mentioned that if this race of giants was pre-man, okay, and had built all their all their cities and everything else, were they wiped out as an extinction event or the flood?
There was an extinction event to some degree, but I think in a lot of them they interbred with humans, and they're still with us today in our DNA. That's why you have throwbacks who come out who are uniquely tall,
like this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So I mean, but then again, they say that that's a genetic anomaly. You know,
where does it come from, though? You know, it's a genetic anomaly, but where does it come from? Why does it happen? And that's the question you have to ask
I
yourself.
couldn't tell you.
Yeah, it's a genetic anomaly when it comes from somewhere. There's some reason why that happens. So
Yeah.
that's just
But
skeptic garbage.
you don't believe that is the
It's
like
not just a
the star
pituitary disorder.
seeds or anything like that.
There might be a pituitary disorder, but there's a reason behind it.
Yeah.
And there's a source for that pituitary disorder. And I think it's partly because of that shared giant ancestry. Then we have our typical basketball players who are just uniquely tall. And I think they're throwbacks too.
That's pretty cool. Because like in here now, there were a lot of pictures, and then I realized and heard that a lot of these pictures were photoshopped because there was some big, I don't know.
Yeah, Fritz Zimmerman, he's got a lot of pictures, and I think they're AI.
Yeah, so that's the problem with the AI today is you don't know what's real and what's not.
Yeah.
You know, so and even in paranormal investigating, it's like
a lot of his stuff. You know, people say, "Oh, the Smithsonian took it away." Just because it was mentioned once by a newspaper reporter in 1912 is not conclusive evidence that this actually existed. And then if you don't have any pictures, and suddenly 100 years later or 120 years later, you get a picture during a period that we have AI and Photoshop, it's just not credible. And unfortunately,
that's my co-host.
That's what I think.
Okay.
Is that Fritz Zimmerman is not always credible in what he does. I've actually, and I'll be honest with you, I've looked at his posts and I've tried to take some of his posts and actually look at it and do my own research and come up with my own articles to try to examine what he's written and expand on it and give real credible evidence and information based on it. Give my own take on his research. And I've done that a number of times.
Yeah, tell me about your research. Like now, when you said, all right, I want to write this book on the Giants, where do you even begin? Because, you know, like with again and again and again, all this information being hidden or stifled or whatever, how are you going to find information? And to write over 400 pages worth of information.
It's not an easy deal, believe me. It was I had to cull from many sources. Fortunately, there's a lot of books right now on giants by different people. So I used a lot of secondary sources plus primary sources, a lot of mythology, a lot of ancient texts. One of my favorite is sacredtext.net. So I got a lot of good material, and believe me, I hate to say this, I watched a lot of Ancient Aliens to get some ideas.
Hey, everyone's watched Ancient Aliens,
Yeah.
I love Ancient Aliens. I mean, it's information, and it's entertaining, and it makes you think, even if some of it is all theories. Look, if we didn't have theories, we wouldn't be where we are today.
The only thing is that you can't consider it evidence because just because something in mythology sounds extraterrestrial and then you identify it as extraterrestrial doesn't mean it was extraterrestrial. It means it might sound like you can extrapolate it as extraterrestrial, but there's no physical proof that it was extraterrestrial. Like Zeus's thunderbolt. Giorgio Tsoukalos can say it sounds like an alien device, but where is the device? Unless you have the device, you don't have the evidence for it. But it's a good thing to think about because, it could have been a device, but it should be said it could have been a device, not that it was a device. So that's the difference.
Yeah, the verbiage is very important when you're talking about things like this.
Yeah, exactly.
No doubt. Look at she's putting up I have it, and she's putting it in the chat room. That's awesome. Oh, this is what I love and miss so much about Mama D. She would be doing this all during the show, putting up your links and everything. So let me show you a couple more links that you can put up. Let's talk about this right here. Substack.com. Okay, this is the thing. I signed up because of him. What a cool place to be. Lots of information, really cool site. But you can go right to FK Sterling if you go www.fksterling.substack.com. And I just said that all out for our audio only version of the show. However, he's got some great articles on there, like blog-like things, but there's so much on there too. It's kind of like, you go down a rabbit hole when you go in there. So we have that. We have, you can find him on Facebook, FK Sterling. You can find him on Twitter at Ancient Ozarks. And what Mama D just put into the chat conversation there, ancientozarks.com. So that's where all his stuff is. And you can find a lot. And here we go. Oh, there's his Facebook profile. Look at her. She is on it. She is on it. I love her. I miss her so much. My beautiful redhead from Canada. Now, where are you living now? Are you in the Ozarks now?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Okay, and how many years?
Northern Arkansas.
Wonderful. But you were born in Florida.
Yeah, Ocala.
And what happened in Florida? Did you have an incident in Florida with your brother?
Oh, you heard about that?
I heard about that.
Yes, about the skunk ape.
I did.
And about his losing his leg. Yes.
That's pretty scary.
It is very scary.
If you hear these incidents,
it was shot and it still came at us. So, yeah, it was something you remember for the rest of your life. Believe me.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, seriously.
So that's like when I'm in Lost Valley with my friend, and I got a picture of that, and it's coming out in Fate magazine. You see me at the entrance to Lost Valley with a shotgun. I didn't go unprepared this time.
Right. Well, let's start from the beginning so that the people, because I've heard the story, but other people have not heard the story, and I'm sure they want to hear the story. So what happened?
It was just, we were out and we were looking, and I was looking for bones because I collected bones. I was a kid. I was about 6 years old. And whenever I found cow bones, I put them in a bag and I'd take them back to the garage and set them up like they were dinosaur bones. And that was my dinosaur museum. Eventually, and I will add this to it, I did find a sloth fossil one time. So that was a positive thing, and that's something I will always remember. However, that day we started to hear noises and this whoop, whoop, whoop. And it was towards dusk, and the next thing you do, like an eruption from the forest, there was this thing, and it was standing over 6 foot for not as tall as you would say a Sasquatch, but much taller than us. We're just kids. I mean, Sam was like 9 years old at the time, and my other brother, Craig, he was 14, and so he's shooting at this thing, and the thing started freaking out and just swatted Sam right across the leg. And there was a rip in his pants, and there was blood, and he's howling, and this thing is going at us, and Craig's constantly shooting at it, and finally it just takes off, and there it goes into the woods. So fast we never saw it again. But it was. I mean, that's not the only encounter I had. There was another encounter. What's really got me is when I fell into a pit of killer bees out by an old shack. And that was also a bad experience. I got consumed by killer bees. I almost died.
Oh my!
So there was a number of very odd encounters in those woods. We used to hunt hog there, wild boar. We hunted deer. I collected bones, found that fossil. So we had a lot of different strange experiences in those woods. They're gone now. Now there's a vast subdivision there. It's all suburban community there now. There's no woods anywhere. It was all developed. But this
So
is
where
way
do you think
back
they
in the
go when this
70s.
happens?
Hmm?
Where do you think these animals and these cryptids and these things like that, where do you think they go when their area gets...
I have no idea. But they're gone now.
We're going to keep this subject in mind because I'm going to get back to it. But when you said about the bees, it reminds me of this, about Alien Harvest and the woman with the honey, with the...
Yeah.
Can you just, what the, how the, tell me about this woman with the honey.
She
There's a lot of what the moments in this.
Yeah. I think I'm going to leave that for the reader to find out about, because it's one of the gems of my book.
Yeah, it is.
It's one of those things that it's just got to be read rather than told.
Yeah, okay, I'll give it to you. All right, but this so Alien Harvest is not, it's not a book like this. It's only like 100 pages, and
it's only 120 or 130 pages.
Yeah. So not, and it's a quick read because it's little stories. So you just like kind of going right through it.
Yeah, and it also it talks a lot about the after effects of the encounters, the taste in the mouth.
Yeah.
The feeling of copper and iron, and I call it blood in pennies.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I think
I compare it to biting down on a biting terminal on a battery, and talk about the blood and the foaming of the mouth, and the fact that you might have dental dentures, or not dentures, but fillings in your mouth, and that they'd be replaced by substances that you can't explain, about triangular shaped scarrings on the arm, like almost like a branding of sorts.
Right.
And I think these whole series of experiences, including this humming you hear, all of it is branding. It's like us putting a mark on cattle.
In the cattle. The cattle.
To them, that's what we are. We're cattle. We're food. We're something they are farming, not just investigating, not trying to bring to a higher level of consciousness or a new age. They want us as food, or replace us. And the last interview I did, I compared to some of the things they're doing, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, where they're just replacing us, where they look human. They look like the people we know, but they are replacements. They're not the real originals.
Or the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
The book. With the giant.
Monsters are due on Maple Street. They're not like us. They're a man, a woman, and a child who look just like us, but they aren't.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, these stories and these things, people's experiences, it's wild how similar they are all over the place, so I mean, even from way back, like the beginning, where we didn't have this, we didn't have this communication so readily available that everyone can compare notes, But, so you have
documented. I mean, this is how it is. Back in the day when we had the encounter with the skunk ape, if we had a cell phone, we could have just taken his picture and had the whole thing on video, and then it would have gone viral.
Right.
My
God. Yeah.
Could you imagine that?
Jeez. And now today it's going to be twice as hard because of AI, and people are going to be like, well, that's Photoshop. It's AI. It's this, it's that, because it's so damn easy,
Yeah.
But I mean, it pisses me off for things like, paranormal investigating. So, and you watch some of these shows that are on TV and, you've got 90,000 things happening all at once. I'm like, come on, people snap out of it. It's not like the real investigations when you go and you sit for, all day and all night and you get nothing happening. And then all of a sudden you get one sentence. You
Yeah.
joy, you get
Yeah.
one sentence EVP, you're happy as shit, you know? But but it's the fact is it's just because people want stimulus that they go out and do that. They'll use the AI, use the technology that's available and say, hey, I found this, and then you got to disprove that, and then you got to waste all that time disproving, as opposed to just posting reality, researching reality, in reality, like what can you actually find, what can you actually prove, how far back
Exactly.
dig and get the actual,
Yeah.
and people don't
And
want
we have so many accounts and rumors and good material here in the Ozarks, that you can draw from. I mean, just go up to the Dollar General, and if you know somebody, you can find somebody who can talk about one of these things. I mean,
yeah.
that's how I found out about the crop circles and the corn stalks.
Oh my god, yeah.
We want to talk about that, of course. The faces coming out of the corn stalks. Now, I've never seen that, so I can't say if it's true or not. But I had to write about it. That's horrifying and terrifying to think about. And in my new book, the front cover is that picture. It's a face coming out of the corn.
That's
It's all
crazy.
bloodied. It's all bloodied, and it's in agony, and it's coming out of the corn. And that's going to be on the front cover of the new book.
I need that book. You got to
Yeah,
send.
you're gonna have it. You'll have to be on for it. So
Yeah, because
yeah,
we need to definitely talk about that. That's human DNA in the corn, with
yeah,
blood, in the
yeah,
circle. So
yeah,
that's being raised by who?
yeah. By whom? Who's
Mm,
farming us? I call them the bobbies, and even the bobbies themselves are like an infestation in the crops. At night they're running around. There's a couple 20, 30 bobbies coming in and out of the cornfields. These little tiny dwarf or diminutive creatures that look like grays. Except I connect them to the Moon-eyed people of Cherokee legend and the night visitors that the Osage talk about, and the bluff dwellers, because they talked about the bluff dwelling race. And then archaeologists said, no, 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 the evidence is that these are Native American finds. There was no lost race. I say, damn it, there was a lost race, and it was extraterrestrial, and they're linked to the Moon-eyed people, and the Moon-eyed people are the bobbies, the ones you see
yeah,
in the crops. So that's
and
how I connect the whole thing is all connected to that.
you know who has all that information?
Yeah,
The
me.
Smithsonian. The Smithsonian takes everything
Yes.
and then they conveniently lose it.
Yeah, they
So somewhere,
conveniently lose it.
yes, somewhere there is like like the Area 51. There's something like
I
that.
think
The
there is.
Smithsonian. It has
I
all
w-
this stuff.
I wouldn't doubt that somewhere in the Ozarks we have a facility like that.
Or
We're a
underground.
very mysterious area, and we're one of the oldest areas in the country. We're the oldest exposed group of rock faces in mountains in the country. The oldest. We're the remains of a inner sea that existed in the Paleozoic.
Right. You know what? I have this little thing here, and I don't know if you can see it. Like throughout ages, okay? Like where there are all the ages here, and on the other side, where all the fossils and the things that we have found digging, to compare to those times, how we create this time chart. Now, this stuff like the giants and the cryptids and stuff, throw all this out the window. Or is that the conspiracy? Is that the thing? Like,
Well, the thing is you look at
they don't want to mess
Look at
this
Michael
up.
Crane though. Look at Michael Crane though. He thinks that that modern humans have existed on this planet since the Paleozoic. That we were back then. That we were pure energy, and we devolved into base matter. And so we were there during the Paleozoic, along with all these other life forms And then when you had the ape men, like Australopithecine and Neanderthal and all these other proto-humans, rather than just being evolved from them, we were alongside them. And part of that's already coming through evolution, in the way they view evolution, because now it's finding out that, yeah, we were interbred with Denisovan and Neanderthals and Homo erectus and different groups of humans interbred with other groups of humans. But I think it wasn't because of any evolutionary scheme. I think it had more of a devolutionary scheme, like he was saying. And I think that we existed way back then, millions of years ago, as anatomically modern humans and had advanced civilizations. And we lost that skill, but we were evolving and devolving during that time.
And again, we've had extinction events in between. So we've had interruptions in these things.
Well, it's
so
always cycles. It's always cycles. And our scripture, most of the scriptures of the world talk about cycles. It's only really the Christian conception of the fundamentalist evangelical Christians who only see point A to point B, beginning to end, Alpha and Omega. Even my own faith of the LDS Church sees cycles. We think that God was once like us, and through eternal progression, he became who he is, and that we're not just his creation, we're his spiritual and biological descendants. So that's kind of how we view it. And the evangelicals kind of see it as just this far off creation made of dust. Yeah, we were made of dust, but we were spiritual in the premortal world, and he used the dust to create bodies for us, so then we could go down to earth and learn lessons about life. And that's our purpose in this world, is to learn lessons and become more like him. And that's like the whole thing. And that also is like with space travel. Going to space and terraforming Mars or creating AI, we're creating life. And that's what God did. So if we do that, we're not committing blasphemy. We're just being more godlike. Now, evangelical will see that as an affront to himself, affront to the idea of revelation, that Christ is going to come back and everything's going to be solved for us. So they see all that as poppycock. My brother is an evangelical, and my brother thinks that the moon landing was faked.
My friend does.
Artemis is faked. It's all fake. It's not true. We were never in space, which is really beyond any type of ridiculousness. I mean, you have multiple people all around the world with telescopes and radios, and they're getting evidence. I mean, it's out there. It's like saying, "Oh, no, you got to ignore all these separate observatories and radio people. They're all lying to you. They're all on Hollywood's payroll," and that's just not happening.
I know that.
Why would they do that? Why would they? What possible gain? The only possible gain they would have, and this is something that David Childress brought out, is if they found like a hidden city on the moon, or an alien.
Well, that's why they wanted to go to the dark side,
or a UFO or something. If they found something like that, maybe what they would do would be show a little bit of a fake moon landing, but there was a moon landing, but the real moon landing wasn't shown to us. And that's the only difference it would be.
Well, that's a theory. Yeah. But then again, there's a million. If you listen to conspiracy theorists all day long, you'll go out of your mind, right? But I mean, like, are they living inside the moon? Is the moon a ship? Is this, that, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it just goes.
No, I think there's caverns in the moon. I think there's life on the moon. I think in these caverns, in these hidden subterranean passageways in the moon, there is breathable atmosphere. And I believe that. And I believe it's hollow. And I said, in these hollow areas, we could go down in these areas and breathe. We couldn't breathe on the surface, but we could breathe inside, and maybe there's life down there.
Yeah.
I believe in Mars the same way. I believe there are passages on Mars You could go down, you'd find running water.
Well, if our surface, if this global warming keeps coming, you know, if we don't end up living out in space, we're going to live underground because it'll be the only cool and protected place we can be.
Yeah, I mean, if there was an advanced race on Mars, that's what they would do. They would go underground, and once there was a
You live on
nuclear
the
war
surface.
on Mars, what happens to all the people that went down underground on Mars to escape the main blasts? Well, they could still be there.
True.
And maybe that's why sometimes when our landers go there, they don't operate anymore. They destroyed them. They came up from under the ground and got rid of them. And I always thought about that.
Now these just races. This is again just a graphic that I pulled. Now one kind of looks like the Greys, and the other kind of looks like the Reptilians. What the middle one is, I have no clue. But do you believe in those types of aliens?
Yeah,
and
I do. And when I was growing up, I was talking to Richard Siret about this. When I was growing up, I was petrified of the Greys. When I was young, I heard about communion, and I watched an interview with Travis Walton, and I was petrified of the Greys. I was so petrified of the Greys for years I couldn't sleep. Had nightmares about that, waking night terrors about the Greys. And she said, well, do you think you were ever abducted? And I looked at him and I said, I don't know. I could have been, because I sure as heck were terrified of the Greys.
Well, all these things
and after the skunk incident, I was terrified of Bigfoot. And yet I'm drawn to both now.
Yeah. Well, Bigfoot, I have a hard time with. Aliens, I think, yes. Where they come from, I think through wormholes. I don't think they're planets that we can see or just go to. I mean, I think we'd have to get there.
They could be transdimensional is what I think.
Yeah.
I think the Greys are transdimensional.
Okay.
I think the Martians came through portals to Earth and seeded Earth.
Martians did?
Yeah.
All right. Because again, I think they came. Well, I mean, they've been here. They definitely were here. I mean, you have all this, like Egypt, and the hieroglyphs, and you have the starships around there. Spaceships. You have men with helmets on.
Yeah.
And how far back was that?
I would be careful about the helmets though, because, if they were coming to our planet and they had physique like ours, they probably wouldn't need space helmets to be on the surface because they could breathe the air. They only need, but the helmets, you got to remember, some of these ancient peoples, they had elaborate headdresses too. Very elaborate headdresses that looked a lot like space helmets.
It really does.
You got to be careful when you interpret ancient art, because you don't always know exactly what they were wearing or what their attire was, because it was different. This is thousands of years ago. So what might look like what we would interpret as space helmets might just be an elaborate headdress to them. And it might look just like, or even more so, maybe they did see an ancient astronaut and then they started fashioning helmets to look more like them. You know what I mean? Maybe they did. Maybe they were in space where they did need helmets. Maybe someone picked them up and took them there and they saw that and later on started making similar headdresses. And then they start duplicating art that looked like it. I'm an art history major. So I know.
All right, yeah, iconography I want to talk to you about. But it could be our future selves going back in time to help build
that's
stuff
a possibility too.
So, again.
Yeah.
There's so many things. And quantum physics exists,
it is true, yes.
Working. The Chinese teleported an apple?
Yeah.
So, it's working. You heard
Yeah.
about it and then you didn't.
And they also crossbred a rabbit with a human being, and that increased its growth and its sexual veracity.
Well, of course it would. It's a rabbit.
I know, that's the whole point. That's why they chose a rabbit.
That's hilarious. That's another book. Oh my God. You'd have to neuter all of them.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's great.
You just totally lost my whole train of thought with that one. I'm sorry. Oh my God. Oh, what was I wanted to ask you something. Oh God. Yeah, it's totally gone. Wow.
Senior moment.
Oh my God. No, well, that just threw me. I never heard of anything like that. I have a vision in my head, picture of what this looks like. And I know what rabbits do.
They're like the Easter Bunny.
Oh, geez. Oh my God. Oh my God.
A giant anthropomorphic rabbit.
You're killing me. That is hilarious. So what other funny things did you come across in your research in this whole process?
Excuse me. Got a little cough there.
Water?
A little cough there. I just now I lost my train of thought. Oh, I'm sorry about that.
So researching, like, but seriously, did you come across a lot of different, like, things like this, like other things that just kind of struck you as funny?
Oh, also, we're talking about interbreeding. There was a Russian doctor who was trying to breed a chimpanzee with a human, basically trying to bring up someone who, like, from Planet of the Apes,
Oh yeah,
Roddy McDowell type,
yeah.
ape man.
I hope that didn't work.
And that would be hideous. It really would.
Yeah,
He thought that there would be better. It would be a better race. It would be a more enduring race. Well, I don't see it that way. I don't think it would be
that's
as
going back in
intelligent.
time.
It would be very much a throwback. It would not
Right.
be as intelligent as a human being. If you want to reach hard for an offspring, I mean, cross it with an ape. You're gonna get that. But he tried to do it. He tried inseminating a chimp with a human DNA. It didn't work. Then he was able, and some people say he succeeded, and he later got put in a gulag. But he inseminated a Russian woman with a chimp sperm, and supposedly she gave birth to this creature. And later, Stalin ordered the creature to be murdered, and so they got rid of
That
it.
was the thing that was getting to me in that book there with, like, with the Third Reich, you know.
Lebensborn.
Yeah. So
Lebensborn was an attempt to create the master race.
Yeah.
It would interbreed. They did a number of things. They bred Norwegian women and Swedish women with German SS who were of idealized Nordic appearance. They would abduct Russian and Ukrainian and Polish children who looked their type of blonde, blue-eyed ideal, and they bring them, and then they would allow German families to adopt them, erase their whole history, erase all that. And so they would never have any connection to their original family before when they were very young, before they could grow up. And they would not even remember that they were ever with the Polish family. They would just assume they were always with the German family. In fact, some of these cases, that after the war, they tried to reunite them with their Polish families, and the children resisted because they did not know them. They only knew their German families, so it was very hard to put them back to where they belong.
Yeah. And it's easy to brainwash children.
Yeah, and Putin was doing that with Ukrainian children as well. He was abducting Ukrainian children and giving them to Russian families because the Russian population is in diminishment. It's deteriorating very fast. They're having a drop in population, which is insane for what he's doing, because now he's creating wars. They're taking the best men and the best women off of the population. They're dying by the millions, and he's
Yep.
not stopping. He's just letting more and more Russians die. And then, of course, the Ukrainians are bombing the hell out of the Russians, killing more of them. And then the Ukrainians, who are very much related to the Russians, they're dying. I mean, he's just a madman. He's as bad as Hitler. He really is. He's not
Could you
knowing what
imagine
he's
if
doing
Hitler
to his
had
own people.
had
He's
technology?
allowing his own people to die over
Right.
this war.
Right. And for what? They, you know what I mean? He just
Just
wanted
leave
that.
Ukraine alone.
He wanted. I know, but he wanted it. He wanted it for a military
And
strategic
the sad thing
point.
is, it's not entirely his fault, in the sense that they were willing to join NATO years ago. And it was the warmongers and the neocons in America that said, no way, we prefer you to be our enemy. And so then they got Putin in, and Putin started scheming, well, they don't want us to be in NATO now, do they? Well, we'll go back to the old ways and see how they like it that way. And of course, the neocons in this country just love that idea, because that meant more arms, more wars, more people to go off to war, because the neocons in this country just love that. So, and on both sides of it, they don't care. They just want war on both sides of the issue. And they got war. And then
Yeah,
they get Trump in there, who promises no more wars. And the first time he comes back to power, we got to go to war.
Right.
You know, and we've already done 2 wars already. We did Venezuela, and now we're doing this deal.
I know. Well, Venezuela is how he wanted this one to go, and it's like that's a whole nother ball of wax when you do
It
it.
is, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they are not like that. But I really believe, because Trump found out that if there's a war going on, you can't have an election or something like that, and he said,
Now, I do agree with him. We don't want them to have a nuclear weapon. We don't want them to have a nuclear weapon, because they will use it on us. They will blow up New York.
Do you believe in Nostradamus and the predictions that he made?
I'll tell you one of his prophecies.
Yes.
He talks about the young man, the young president, who was demystified that these people could have a weapon and blow up New York. Now, who does that sound like to you that we know right now? J.D. Vance.
Yeah. Well,
I bet you it's J.D. Vance. I guarantee you, he's the young president who will be president when they blow New York to the smithereens.
Yeah, I hope not too
Because
close.
he will think that there's no way they could come back, and they'll be sneaking, they'll be hiding it, they'll be developing their weapon in secret, and they will use it. And they will use it, and they will get us. I guarantee you they will get us.
Well, they hated us to begin with, and now they hate us even more.
Yeah.
And you keep on badgering and belittling instead of trying to have a conversation. That doesn't help. That just fuels that fire.
Yeah.
I do agree that they should not have any nuclear weapons at all. But I don't know. I don't know. This is it's so scary to me, this whole thing. That we can cause our own extinction event.
Yeah. It's so close right now, and Putin would have absolutely no doubt in my mind would he have a problem pushing the button.
No,
he has no fear.
Right,
he just doesn't. And
neither does Trump.
No, and the thing is that unfortunately, fortunately, I think Putin's reign is about to end, because the Russian people, for the first time, are really tired of it. That's what's happened. He's cutting down the internet now, and the word is they're done. People are speaking out now saying, we don't want this guy to be leading our country. We're not going to go to the front if he wants us to go. He can have his war. And if that happens, he's out. And that'll be for the best thing. Get him the hell out of Russia. And I'm Russian by genetics, so I don't want him leading my motherland. So
Right. My friend is Russian too, and she feels the same way that you do.
yeah.
Yeah. But I want to get back to all right. Let's get out of politics because that's another whole thing, and the stuff that's going on is insane. I see what Steven says. I know not what happens. I know not with that weapons WW3 will be fought, but WW4 will be fought with
Albert Einstein. Yeah.
That's true. Oh my gosh. Yes.
That's right. So true, it will be fought with sticks and stones. He always said that, he said in the same quote that there will always be books and things that are left over. So in some ways it'll take time, but civilization would be built back. But it won't be the same civilization we had before. Exactly. That's basically what he was saying prior to that.
Life can't be denied. It's just, hi, love you.
Hello, Lisa.
Yeah, life can't be denied. That's one thing we know for sure. But again, we've had so many extinction events. And I think it's because, well, something decided this is not right for the planet. And boom, it's gone.
Well, the gods, in the scriptures, basically talk about, the hubris and the arrogance and the violence and the abomination that's on the earth. And the gods just get tired of it. And they want to wipe the slate clean and start over again.
And then you make another mistake. Well, let's do another one. So it's like, all right, let's blow it up with some, stuff from space, and let's cause a big flood, and let's what. But right now we're doing it to ourselves. I mean, we really are. So better snap out of it, world. Yeah. Global warming is a real thing. But anyway, again. We'll get out of politics. I want to get back to the Giants. And now, you said that you're an art history major. Now, and iconography always just sparked my imagination so much, because all these continents, countries, and things that people can't, before they were traveling back and forth and seeing each other.
The iconography is the same, the hands along the belt line, the bags that you see in all cultures. I mean, even, I hate to use this as an example, even the swastika is all over the world long before the Third Reich. They appropriated it, used it for evil purposes, but it was a symbol that existed for millennia, thousands of years. The earliest known swastika goes back to Ukraine 25,000 years ago on a woolly mammoth tusk.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was in the Ukrainian National Museum until it was destroyed by a bomb.
Oh. See, and again, a lot of the history that we've had, and even like in Israel, blowing up all the stuff, the religious wars and stuff, blowing up all this history. Go back to Egypt when a new pharaoh would come in and you'd get rid of all the history, strike that.
Yeah. What happened with that is you had Amenhotep, or Akhenaten rather. Akhenaten got rid of all the multiple gods. He just had the one god, so he desecrated all the temples. And then when he was turned over, they desecrated everything that he did. They took his likeness down, they destroyed his new city, and they reconstituted the old gods. So you see that cycle happening too. And when you see this cycle, you see that's the whole idea of history, is a constant cycle of happening and happening again. Not never let it happen again, but it will always happen again. That's just the nature of history.
It's, you would think, as being as intelligent as we are, the things that we can accomplish, we would learn from our mistakes. Never happened. I just don't understand it. I don't think I ever will.
Yeah.
I really, really, really don't.
It just takes a lot of consciousness and a lot of understanding of history. That's why teaching history and also investigating the past is so important. Because if we don't do that, then
you
we're
don't
going to
know.
continue to do the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
Exactly. Now, Steve says, in every war, you can see countries or empires trying to wipe out the old symbols by attacking culture and museums. Right.
Yeah,
and
he's right.
That's too bad. But then again, you get the Smithsonian that has all the good stuff hidden somewhere.
Yeah.
They take it and run and they hide it. If anyone knows where the big Smithsonian places are that they're hiding all these giant bones and everything else, and maybe even Bigfoot and cryptids, please let me know. But now I want to go on to something completely different. Do you believe in hollow earth?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
We already talked about that. I already believe in hollow Mars and hollow moon.
I know.
I believe in hollow earth.
But
I do believe in hollow earth, and I talk about that in Ancient Ozarks, the book. Talk about Agartha and Shambhala as linked through the hollow earth to hollow areas in the Ozarks and the underground area of the Zuni and Hopi, where the ant people live. And I call the underground people in the Ozarks the antler people.
Hitler.
And I linked him to Cernunnos, who was a Celtic god. And you see the horns on his heads and Celtic iconography. And you see that up in northern Italy. I think in one of the Ancient Alien episodes, William Henry was with someone and they were looking on it and they actually saw the horned god, and that's Cernunnos. Yeah.
Yeah, everything intersects at some point in time. But I think Antarctica holds a lot of answers to a lot of these questions, whether it's the entry point for an underground civilization.
That's the subject of one of my new books.
Is it really?
Yes, it is. It's coming out very soon.
Oh my God, you are definitely a busy guy.
Yeah, it talks about Homo borealis. Homo borealis is a Denisovan convergently evolved creature that has been reported to be there in the wastelands of Antarctica, thick with blubber and white fur, piercing blue eyes, tall stature, like a albino Sasquatch lurking in the snow and ice. And when you get my new book, on the cover, you will see ice retreating with ruins, a pyramid, a UFO in the sky, and right in the lower right-hand corner of the page, you will see a Homo borealis. And it's all about, the first part of the book is all about the research of this Antarctic cryptid, and then talks about other cryptids that exist in the ocean in Antarctica, and then finally gets into UFOs, it gets into pyramids, it gets into underground realms in Antarctica where there's warm environments that are well underneath the ice, that are hidden, that you don't see until you actually go down in certain shafts that are in the ground, right, into these underground layers that are warmer and have habitation down there. So it's very interesting. It's kind of like Michael Sala's book, but it goes to a next level. And it's similar to Linda Moulton Howe's research, but goes beyond just extraterrestrial visitations. It gets really deep down with this Homo borealis theory and discusses where I think he came from and how he evolved, and gives more of an explanation of him.
That's really neat. I got to get that book too, because it's just, they're very interesting subjects. But I think the pyramids, the pyramids and how they're still finding them because they're buried over time. But all the pyramids and then their, placement around, they all have the same, you can measure it, the same length of a beam coming out of the top of it, an energetic beam that comes from the bottom. It's how they built it. What is it built on? What kind of things are underneath it that causes all this power to go up. And I think if you were in space, you could pick up on all this. So when all these pyramids were new and fresh, and the tectonic plates were in a certain place, and we're almost getting back to that where they were like 10,000 years ago. And I think things are going to start happening when they do line up like that. I think, again, in Antarctica, I know a guy, had him on my show, David, who said he was in the Navy, and he was on a Navy ship, and there was a submarine that went underneath that was 800 feet long, and they don't have submarines that are 800 feet long. When this thing went underneath him, and he was in, I think, Brazil area, and when this thing went underneath, the whole ship's power cut out, and they were just drifting, like, a big naval ship, until it was out of range, and then their power mysteriously came back on. But he said that they were detecting these things in Antarctica, like not computer, but kind of computer-ish. The things are turning on, under all this ice and snow and stuff. And the more that the plates are shifting, the more that's happening. So it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be our lifetime, but I think it's going to be something spectacular is going to happen. I hope.
Yeah. Well, eventually what's going to happen is we're just going to go back to being one continent again. Like Pangea. It's going to happen eventually. It's going to be like 300 million years in the future, or a little bit more, maybe 1 billion years in the future. Because as a planet, we have another 4 billion years left.
You think?
Oh, yeah. Because that's how long the sun is going to be stable for, another 4 billion years. So providing the sun is stable, there's no reason why the Earth would go quiet. It would just, even if we destroy ourselves, that's not to say that life would return. There wouldn't be any more humans.
I think before
there would be other life forms, and there would probably be intelligent life again. They just wouldn't know about humans, and they might think that we never existed. They might think that they might find our bones and might think we weren't intelligent. They just look at us and say, oh, little apes. They probably weren't very intelligent. And really, we weren't, because we killed ourselves. So,
but we should be living in the stars by
the History Channel once that speculated that like squids or octopus became the next intelligent life forms, because they were the most versatile, and they could manipulate things with their tentacles and suck things together and build. They were called squidids. And these squids were in trees, and they became the next intelligent life form.
I think octopuses are aliens.
Yeah, I would say so. The octopuses are unlike any other creature on the planet. They really are. Ancient Aliens had an episode where they thought that they were transplanted here from another planet, that they were dropped here, and that they started to multiply in our oceans.
Yeah, I really do believe that.
Because they just don't follow any evolutionary pattern that's consistent with any other life form here. They just don't follow any of the rules of our planet. So if they had similarities to other life forms, it would seem logical that they were of this world. But they don't do that. And not only that, they can regenerate their own DNA, so they can almost entirely endless lifespans.
Mm-hmm. Octopuses have very unique DNA and don't fit comfortably in the tree of life. No, they don't. But again, every time we think we have something down pat, all of a sudden something new appears, or something new gets dug up, and you got to rewrite the history books.
There's a few jellyfish who also, like the octopus, don't seem to fit any known pattern of life in the tree of life.
Yeah. Well, a starfish can regenerate too, and something to do with the tentacles, But I think, but I don't know. I'm not a.
Then you have seahorses, and it's the males who give birth.
I know.
Yeah.
It's not the human race.
Yeah.
Men should know what that feels like. So let me ask you about in India, they found a giant skeleton with a large stone tablet. And then they brought it to the U.S. and then it disappears.
Yeah.
So what was on this stone tablet? Do you know?
Yes, it was a inscription about Brahma, who is the chief god of the Hindus. And it was a story about him from the Mahabharata.
And then, yeah, I should imagine what we haven't found in the ocean. Yes, because we can't go deep enough. Nessie.
I know. I mean, it's amazing. She's right. I mean, we know more about the surface of Mars than we do our own ocean.
I know. Isn't that sad?
And, yeah, I mean, it is unlimited area of exploration. I think we should be really not only concentrating on it, but in concentrating it for colonization, but also for cultivation and understanding and preservation. We're really trashing it. And that's the sad thing. We're trashing the ocean and we're killing off its life. And that's the really sad thing.
You know, or creating the messed up life, like all this waste materials, and then, I get nervous about people shooting waste materials now into space. And then what's going to happen if that goes and lands on say an inhabitable planet somewhere? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I get these weird theory type things going on in my head too, because we're very waste filled people. We really got to make a lot more things, like our everyday things, more recyclable things, Yeah. Again, we have to really be mindful of our planet, be mindful of our footprints, be mindful of what we're doing, chemicals that we're using. Do we need to use these chemicals? All that kind of stuff. I hope that gets taught in schools for the younger generation.
Yeah.
And because, again, global warming is a thing. I was talking about the iconography before, too. Is there iconography depicting giants that we can see somewhere?
Yeah, there is. There's giant depictions in Mesopotamia. They show kings, which are depicted as giants, and some people interpret them as just representing the superiority of the kings. But I believe it's more like depicting giants themselves. There is some petroglyphs, even in the Ozarks, of Sasquatch-like creatures that are depicted of tall stature. This does have a case for an opinion about horned giants claimed to be found on Spanish Hill near Pennsylvania. I just wrote an article about that. It's on ancientozarks.com. I recommend he go to my website. It's on there. I also have it on Substack.
Yep. So if you're not, Steve, I would imagine you are on Substacks because it's like right up your alley. But check this out. There's a lot of cool stuff in here. A lot. I signed up and, I had to jump through all the hoops and get it all signed up and download the app and do all the things. Worth it. Right. And you can also find him on Facebook, FK Sterling, and he's got a lot on his page. You can find him on Twitter at Ancient Ozarks. And again, one more time for his website, www.ancientozarks.com. Lots of stuff there. So now, how tall is the tallest giant, do you think?
Well, there's been different reports, anywhere between 6-7 foot in height to 9 to 10 feet. Some people, if you read the Book of Enoch, you can say that they're up to 13 to 14 feet in height. Of course, the ones in Afghanistan and India were significantly taller. I think it gets to the point where it gets to ridiculousness, and it's just mythology, because you can't have a human that tall. He'd crush under his own weight.
Yeah,
But six
like a
seven
bone,
seems more.
but if you were that big,
Seven
bones and
to
everything.
eight is seems more reasonable. And the giants we have had that have been 8 to 9 feet have been very unhealthy because of the weight they had to carry.
And their hearts can't handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a crazy thing. And again, I just lost my train of thought again. I was going to ask you something. Hmm. I definitely haven't seen any moments today. Um, but anyway, we're what's next for like research like this? Like, are you going to research more into
Yeah, I'm
giants?
going to have another one coming out. It's fact, Inner Traditions. Barron Company is reviewing a book of mine right now on um, giants in Europe. Talks
Giants in
about
Europe.
talks about the Norse giants, the Celtic giants, the Slavic giants, the European wildmen, werewolf phenomenon, and different things like that. And giants related to UFOs in European legend. So that's what they're reviewing right now, and they're seeing if it's something they'd be interested in publishing. They did say they're interested in publishing it. It's with a reviewer right now. So I think that if it's gotten to that far, it's gone through the editorial review board and the readers got it, they're very close to saying yes. So hopefully I'll know within the next couple of weeks.
Cool.
Yeah.
Damn. Do you have time for a life?
Yeah, of course I do.
But yeah, actually, I'm going to put up where you're going to be going very soon here. Uh, Squatching at the Gap. The
Yes,
Jasper Bigfoot
yes. And my
Jamboree.
friend Todd will be very happy this is being posted.
Yeah. So this is May 1st and 2nd. And tell me about this event.
We're going to have many, many speakers. We're going to have food vendors. We're going to have live music. We're going to have accommodations. You'll be able to camp there. We're going to have vendors. It's just going to be a wild, really exciting time. We have a big amphitheater where presentations are going to be given, and I'm going to have a book signing there. So we'll all be there. It's something to look forward to, and I encourage everybody to get on. And also the proceeds to all the prizes, we're going to have raffles and things like that, and all that money goes to Camp Jack, which is a veteran organization here in Arkansas.
Hey, Patty. Thank you for coming. Better late than never, I always say. Marcia says, I don't feel that mythology is all myth. I feel like it all stems from one creature or another.
Yeah, I agree. I
I
tell
do
her I
too. I
agree.
think like
Yes.
all folklore has a foothold in.
Myth, in a sense, is always tales of intrinsic nature that have a kernel of truth. It's like the Pied Piper myth. And in college, we learned about that. How there's elements of the Pied Piper myth which are clearly myth, or rather fable. They're not true, but there's a lot of truth to where the children went. I mean, some people think they just followed him to another area of Germany to relocate. Some people think that they actually went off to just join a different population and interbreed, because there's a lot of documentation in the city of Hamlin that said at this specific date, at this time and location, their children, so many of them just disappeared. So if it wasn't true, it wouldn't be in all these records. So there's some parts of that, the rats and all that, that was a story. But the part about losing the children, that's the kernel of truth.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I do. I think all these stories have some grip in reality. And yeah, again, like when people tell a story, like starts here and ends here, and what happens in the middle, this gets exaggerated, that gets dropped, this gets exaggerated, that gets dropped, and then you get this story. You know how it ends.
Yes.
So, but it still has a baseline of truth, And again, if you do your research, you can actually find out.
Yeah.
Which is like what you like to do.
Yes.
So you go to a lot of libraries. I mean,
All the time. That's my love.
you love the whole library.
Libraries is my favorite place to go.
Nice. And I mean, computer has a lot of stuff too, but nothing like having book in hand.
And now there's nothing like a book.
I,
I have a
I
lot of books in my office.
yes, I love books. I do. Now, in your book here, as a matter of fact, this is one of the chapters that I skipped forward to. Atlantis and the Third Reich.
Oh yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's a whole other realm altogether. Because Himmler, the leader of the SS, he believed in Atlantis very deeply, and so did Alfred Rosenberg, who was a member of the Thule Society. So did Dietrich Eckart, who trained Hitler in the art of speaking. So there was a lot of people in the Edis Society. There was Guido von List, who the Nazis based a lot of their beliefs on, believed in Atlantis. Guido von List, in turn, was a disciple of Madame Blavatsky and adapted her theosophy into a new philosophy called Ariosophy. There was Hermann Wirth, who was the head of the Annenerba, which was the Ancestral Heritage Society. He believed in Atlantis. He did some good research, a lot of bunk, so it was a mixture of the both. And I would honestly say that the Annenerbe had some good research that was contributable to our knowledge, but a lot of it was ideologically driven and only used to promote their ideology. So it was a mixed bag.
Now, where do you think Atlantis is?
I believe, I hate to say like the Nazis, I believe it was in the north, but I don't believe it was like an Aryan homeland or anything. I believe it was a Stone Age archipelago type civilization, from the coast of Labrador through Greenland, Iceland, the Faroe Islands, Britain, out by the northern areas of Russia, Germany, and Scandinavia. And this whole northern civilization was at a Stone Age or Bronze Age level prior to the time that many of the Southern European and Mesopotamian cultures had contact with the North. Back in the day when the Celts were up there, when they were Proto-Celtic and Proto-Germanic, and all those societies were trading with one another, either peacefully or committing warfare against one another. And that this was a very sophisticated Stone Age and later Bronze Age type culture. That the copper trade was involved in that they were in the New World, that they were in the Great Lakes, that they were dealing with copper. So I kind of linked all that together.
Very cool. And you have some unique topics in here. Primordial world order, and then each chapter has a little conclusion area to kind of sum up the chapter. And I mean, it's like, you're talking about the different types of giants. Now, the red-headed giants, the red-haired giants. Now, these are the ones that were more cannibalistic, right?
No, I don't believe they were cannibals. I think they were culture bringers. I think that the Native Americans, the Seepika, as they call them, who said they were cannibals, I believe they were superior to them and they had higher technology, and these Indians were jealous of them and fearful.
So they're like starting a rumor?
Yeah, and they killed them off. They committed genocide against them, and then to cover their own act of genocide, just vilified them. Look what the Nazis did with the Jews. They killed 6 million Jews and then said it was the Jews' fault. Well, I think this is the same thing they did with them. What the Indians did with the red-haired giants. They killed them off because they were smarter than them, and then they just said, well, they were cannibals and vicious. We had to get rid of them. And I think that's history is written by the victors, not the losers.
That is very, very true. Now, what's in? We haven't really talked too much about your Ancient Ozarks book. So, what would people be getting out of the Ancient Ozarks?
Something very different. I'm a little more grounded in that book. I am more evidence-based. I'm a little more skeptical in that book. I'm
Okay.
not as open as I am in some of the other books. I try to keep it focused on what we actually know and can prove, but keep it open to the possibility that there's more than we can prove right now. So I'm kind of ambiguous, kind of devil's advocate, but I keep it very interesting and try to talk about as much as the legends and the traditions as possible that exist in the Ozarks.
Now, is it like every time you go somewhere, people are telling you stories because you're getting a
Yeah, yeah,
yourself.
that's the way it is. I talk to a lot of people, and there's a lot of that going on. Plus, you go down to the Boone County Library. There's a lot of, records and things to go to. We have a local museum here too, a historical museum out by where the high school used to be, and that's an interesting place to go. We also have a haunted church here.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, we have a haunted church. It's condemned, and you can't go on it. It's trespassed. And the Klan used to hold meetings in its basement. And it's supposedly demonically possessed because of the evil activities that happen there. So I've thinking about writing a book about it.
Of course you would. Well, I mean, I know a lot about the paranormal. Trust me, I've been in it for too many years.
So I definitely want to write that book. So
Yeah, that would be
coming out. It'll be coming out in the next few months. I guarantee it.
That's very cool. That's very cool indeed. But let me just kind of get you away from demons, okay? There are more very bad spirits that can portray themselves as a demon, but that is the minority, not the majority of hauntings. Okay?
Yeah.
So, just keep that in mind. If you need any little advice or anything, call me.
Okay.
Right? So keep you.
I had to put a disclaimer, when I thought I'd start writing the book, because I don't want people to show up there trying to get on the property to see if there's any ghosts.
That's what happens.
Because then, and that's what happens. I don't want that to happen. And them coming back to me and say, "You wrote that damn book, and now people are there all the time."
Right. Just like the latest Conjuring movie, about the Smurls. The Smurls, that house is like 15 minutes from here. From my house.
Do you remember that movie with Nicole Kidman and the others? I think it was called.
That is a priceless movie.
I know, isn't it? It's my favorite movie. I love that.
That is exactly what it's like. It's like when you try to explain paranormal to people, it's like, just go watch the others. All right?
Yeah.
Because you're existing. Hi, Sharon. You're existing. And you're thinking that this is your life. And, and it's going back and forth. And then it's, what the ending of
you realize you're dead.
Right.
You realize you're dead, you're a ghost.
Exactly. You're the one that doesn't belong there, and those other people do. Like, what happened to my curtains? This is, I'm an interior designer, and then I would go in and, ripping people's houses apart, and I'm getting all.
Yeah, my mother was an interior designer, too.
Oh, very nice. But when you start ripping apart people's things, then they'll get angry. Like, well, I put that wallpaper up. Why are you taking it down?
Yeah.
Type thing, and get very, very angry.
Territorial.
That movie is amazing. But yeah, that's exactly a very good comparison. Very, very good. Yeah, I wish they would make more movies like that.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
Yeah.
Terrifying movie. It was scary. Creepy. It wasn't terrifying, but it was creepy.
Yeah.
Especially when they found the pictures of the dead bodies.
Yeah.
That was creepy. Yeah, I remember.
I like my background. Thank you. But that's just 3 books. So we have In Search of Giants, which is this one. And then Ancient Ozarks. I'm going to put up the picture. Hold on a second. So for the people that are just coming in, okay. Nope, that's the event. Those are some things coming to the event. This is the books: In Search of Giants, Ancient Ozarks, and Alien Harvest. Now, all of these books, are they available on Amazon?
Yes, all of them. They're paperback, Audible format. They're on Audible.
How long is this on Audible?
It's like 12 hours.
Yeah, long road trip. I feel like,
Yeah, if you're traveling across the country, it's the ideal audible to get.
yeah, no kidding.
It's gonna keep going all the way from, say, from Ocala to North Carolina for sure.
Yeah, you go down Route
So,
66,
yeah.
getting to end.
Yeah.
But I
My
do
brother
want
lives
to.
in North Carolina.
Yeah, I do want to kind of take a minute for myself here and post that we are very close to Penhurst Paracon. It is like right around the corner. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, you best get your tickets. These guys were added later. Annabelle is actually a separate entity from the Paracon. It's in a different building. It's a museum exhibit. It's not really. I mean, it's there. It's a different entity. You know, you have to get tickets to go see Annabelle and whatnot. But again, these are a lot of our guests. If we're going to be actually promoting some more people. You never know. You never know. Could happen. But we are also going to be vending there for Vortex Ghost Gear. My worker bees are the best people on the planet. We have a lot of people working to put all that together. It is a very big event. We've already sold as many tickets as we did last.
I'm planning on going to more events as this career continues, adding a little more every year. This year, I'm already going to 4 events. I'm going to the Squatching at the Gap. I'm going to Drunken Cryptids. I'm going to the Writers Conference in Eureka Springs, and also the AAPS conference where I'm speaking.
Marsha, she's one of our worker bees, and you know our worker bees are the celebrity handlers. So all our guests, my worker bees are with all our celebrity people, and so Steve here, Marsha, Marty. I mean, they're all just the cream of the crop. Like I couldn't be prouder to have those people working with us for us. And they're amazing. But yeah, going to events is great for you, especially because you have a lot of information to put out there. So yeah, if you can get speaking events, that would be perfect for you. Since you have.
Yeah, I plan to also go to develop a tour to Mesoamerica. That's my next big project.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's neat. Well, how would you even?
I have my connections.
Okay. Well, I'm sure you do. Very, very cool. Let's see. So again, back in the Ancient Ozarks book, is there something in particular that you want to tempt our people with to get this book?
Well, it talks a lot about the folklore and the existence of the Bigfoot legends and the cryptids. So we get a lot of that. There's 2 or 3 different chapters on that. Also, the UFO phenomenon talks a lot about the caves and the antler people in the underground realms. So if you're really into that sort of thing, it talks more about that. Kind of covers some of more folkloric areas that Alien Harvest does not, and talks about the giants as guardians of treasure. So it also talks about this idea of hidden treasure in the Ozarks, and W.C. Jameson in his reports.
Very, very cool. Now the Alien Harvest book, when did that come out?
Around the same time that Ancient Ozarks did, probably 3 weeks apart.
Very cool. There's so many little snippets. Like, again, it's not a book like this, people. All right, it's not like over 400 pages. It's like a little over 100 pages. You can read it quickly, and you're going to read it quickly because you just can't put it down, because one story after another story after another story after another story, and of people's encounters I know. We've been kind of talking about everything all together. So, Alien Harvest is amazing. Just an amazing book.
Yeah, it got 5 stars on Amazon.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna give you some. I'm gonna write reviews too, so I know that helps.
Good.
That really helps authors and new authors.
We definitely need it for Ancient Ozarks and Giants.
Okay.
Alien Harvest for sure, but also Giants hasn't even been rated yet, and I'm surprised it hasn't because it's our bestseller.
Huh. Wow.
Why they haven't?
Well, I haven't made my way through the whole entire book yet. I've only read snippets, so I have to read the whole book before I can read a review. But I can write a review on Alien Harvest because I did read that. Ancient Ozarks, I don't have. Can you send it?
Yeah, I'll get to you.
Okay. I want all your books. So I'll have a little section. I'll make it.
Yeah, visit me on Booksprout because I'm on Booksprout too.
Oh, cool.
So you can go on Booksprout and review my books there. So
yeah, he's a good author. He's not an author. I mean, it's readable, understandable. Not too technology. Not using words that you won't understand, which happens sometimes. People, especially if they talk about aliens or things like that, they want to, I don't know, make themselves seem smarter. So they,
like William Malthouse says, extraterrestrial biological entities instead of just talk about ETs. I always got a kick when she says that.
I know.
I'm looking at extraterrestrial biological entities. I know she's a great researcher, but I always
but you don't need to say it like that. That kind of turns me up. And I read so many books, and I'm like, to me, it's like a waste of time. And time is precious. So,
I try to keep it grounded so everybody can just easily breeze through it and enjoy it all.
Yeah, and get the whole concept of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to give away a lot about the Alien Harvest because it's some of the stories. I just went, what the, and then the next
yeah.
What the, honest to God, so many, and I'm like laughing at myself because I'm saying it out loud. I'm like, what? And I even wrote it because I have a PDF, so I got to print out some pages and stuff because I have a PDF, and it's like I mark what the F on it, like arrows pointing, especially with this honey thing. The honey thing really blew my mind, and that's a crazy story, and my head still shakes on that because I don't understand it. The crop circle thing again with the people in the corn
stalks.
It's another whole.
Yeah, Patricia Baker freaked with that. She just screamed, literally on camera. I mean,
straight out of Stephen King's mind. Like I can see that being a movie.
Yeah, I'll probably end up being a movie. This whole book will probably end up having a movie adaptation to it. I wouldn't doubt it.
Good. Yeah. Honestly, God, it's creepy as hell. But these things that, with the technology, like you were saying about when you threw me off with the rabbit thing, and the technology we have today in the wrong hands is not a good thing.
No, it's not.
Shouldn't be doing some of the things.
No, we don't need Roddy McDowell, 8 Men, and little Easter bunnies hopping around China.
Right. Okay. So Marsha says, are they true stories? No.
They're all based on what I've heard, and I've taken real accounts and I have fictionalized and made them into stories that are readable. And when I say that, I mean it's like when you have J.R. Tolkien with Lord of the Rings. To some extent, he's pulling on folklore and mythology from Europe. and then making the story. I don't just do that. My stuff is very much grounded in stuff I'm actually hearing, but I embellish and I use names that aren't really the names of the people who I'm hearing and things like that. Because you have to do that.
Yeah.
A, to make it readable, and B, to sell books. And I'm not going to lie about that.
Right. Well, that's why, that's why the Conjuring series get to be the Conjuring series, because they.
I mean, what about Whitney Strieber's Commune? I have no doubt that the Greys exist, but we don't know if that actually happened to Whitney Strieber, but we know that his book sells 1 billion copies. So we do know that. We know he was a horror fiction writer before he wrote Communion. So I'm not going to say yay or nay. So we'll just leave it at that.
Good answer. I will neither confirm nor deny. She says, awesome, thank you. Yeah, he's one busy man. He gets a lot of ideas in his head, and he knows where to go to research these ideas and where to, and how to write and put it down for us to enjoy. And it's very interesting stories, and it just definitely makes you think, and say what the. But he has had some, he's lived some pretty different things. Like you grew up in a haunted house.
Yeah, it is true.
So that, and you made your parents moved because you were so.
Yeah, I did. I made a move. I said, we gotta get the hell out of here. I can't stand it anymore. I was just getting really bad. I was getting very forlorn and very morbid, and all I was thinking about was death and spirits, and I was just getting worse and worse. And they were, by that time, getting really, really tired of the disturbances too. So we got the heck out of there eventually.
Yeah. Well, that's when people call now. That was before. There's so many teams out there now that people can call and get help for these types of situations.
Yeah,
I could try to help on these types of situations. And if I can't, then I'll know someone who can. I hope.
Yeah.
I mean, in our network of people. And we'd go into the house and we would talk to you, and we would talk to the spirits, and we would try to get you to cohabitate. And if you can't cohabitate, one of the others got to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the only way to solve the things, really.
Yeah.
So that's that was before all the big paranormal boom and more readily available.
Yeah, everything's more readily available now.
I know.
Yeah, everything.
Accept it because we have proof.
Yeah.
And
even how kids are today. When I was growing up, you got bullied and harassed at school. Now there's zero tolerance for that. Right. I have a good friend at the university. He's a professor, and his kid reached middle school age, and he feared allowing him to go to middle school because of the way it was when we grew up. But when he got there, he was surprised because he learned that today they have zero tolerance for that. If there's fighting, the kids end up in juvie. Back in the day when I got beat up, there was no consequences for that. They could do it every day if they wanted to, and they could still come to school and do it the next day. But it's now a thing, and the kids are more tolerant now. They're a totally different breed than they were at the time. They're more open about different types of kids who are, but they're more intolerant of intolerant people. So it's a very different world than it was back in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, well, I have a fear of it going back to that because of our fearless leader. I think is a big bully. But sometimes you need bullies, sometimes you don't, But anyway, again, another story. All right, I want to make sure I hit all my points here. What do we got for time? All right, we got 20 minutes left. Giants, India. I have so much stuff written here. I want to make sure I hit all my points. Oh, yeah. Who influenced you? Who is your major influence and when you wanted to write this book about the giants?
I would say David Children and Patrick Chenard.
Okay.
I would say they're my two greatest influences. I
Okay.
think that they were really the ones who started this phenomenon and who made the brand. I tried to put my own 2 cents into it and make it my own, but I would say that they were the big starters. I think another one that I would also give credit to is Xavier Hayes, because he wrote two really good books on giants, Ancient Giants and Ancient Giants of South America. So I would say Xavier Hayes is up there as well.
What were you saying was this graphic was from?
What graphic?
The one on behind us on my screen here that I made for us. You said this is so and so's book.
I can't. Oh, I know what you're talking about. I'm talking about the book behind you.
Oh, the book
on your shelf. Yeah, it was Nathaniel Jensen. He was a creation scientist, and he wrote about the alternative to Darwin's theory, and that's what the front cover of that book looks like.
Okay.
So that's what I was talking about. Yeah.
Awesome. Do you guys have any questions about aliens, cryptids, giants, history, iconography?
Yeah, ask me a question, and I will be happy to answer.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, the only other thing I say is, I know when you write a book, it's personal, but how personal was this for you to write that book?
It was business.
Yeah.
It was pretty much business. It was something that I wrote. It was personal in the sense that I really got into it and it really lit my imagination, get into it to the point that I wanted to pull as much information from as many authors as possible. And I wanted to just let it out, let wherever the research took me, not have any restraints. If I was given a certain direction in the research, I'd embrace it, no matter how controversial, no matter how objectionable it might be. If that's where the evidence was taking with me, that's where I would go.
Sweet. Now, let's see. What about things like this? Okay, like the one-eyed people there. What do you call them? Cyclops.
The Cyclops.
Yeah. Do you think that they existed?
Oh yeah, of course they did. I think they did. I think the Greeks were clear on that. And I wrote about it in an article recently, and I haven't published it yet, but I think it's going to be published on Ancient Origins. I think I'm going to get it published there. And it's all about the Greeks, and it mentions the bones they found. The Greeks were the first true archaeologists. They were the first true archaeologists, and they had, back in the day, they were examining bones. Some writers will say they were actually finding mammoth bones and so forth, but I disagree. I think they were actually finding the bones of real giants.
Cool. And of course, there's this story.
Yeah, David and Goliath, another individual I think was just a very tall individual. I think that David was relatively short, and this being was very tall. Very much in the way you saw it. Do you remember that movie Troy with Brad Pitt?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you remember when he confronted that very tall warrior?
Yes.
I'm thinking it's more like that rather than an actual giant. I mean, this guy that he was facing was massive, but he wasn't he was just a very tall guy, a very big, robust guy, but he wasn't like a giant. And he was definitely fallible, and Achilles won. And I think that in the case of David and Goliath, this is kind of how Goliath was. It's similar to that individual. And I think David was, at least according to the Bible, was just quicker and smarter. And he was able to get rid of them.
Now, in the beginning of the Bible, in the beginning of times, they would say that people are living like 600, 800, 900 years. Is that because maybe the time wasn't like our calendar?
No, well, actually, the thing is that we had a different atmosphere. And the type of atmosphere we had was more conducive to life than it is now. There was less radiation. There was greater oxygen content. There was a canopy. It was a healthier environment than it is now.
Okay, so Marcia says, do you think aliens will make themselves really known? I mean, I know that they are here, but others need to see to believe.
I really don't know how I can answer that because, for one, I'm not an expert on extraterrestrials, more so on giants. I do believe in extraterrestrials and I do believe in disclosure, but I don't know if I really have an answer to that, to be honest with you.
Okay. I'm thinking about this too. Like, if you were an alien, would you let yourself be known?
Well, I know that our whole civilization would explode if that happened. Could you imagine what would be going on right now? I mean, just the day-to-day things that our civilization has to face is a catastrophe and a debate. Could you imagine facing extraterrestrials for the first time? It would just be... First of all, they'd say it was faked. That's what they would say. And that these beings are Hollywood makeup people. And that they're people in a suit. And they have a million conspiracy theories to begin with. They wouldn't believe it. Even if they were right there shaking hands with an extraterrestrial, it would be fake.
Yeah. And then they go right to
the president would say it was fake. He'd say it was fake news.
Right. You have no reputation, it's fake news. Yeah, but I think it would be like that. Yeah, it would be like first it would go from disbelief to then fear, and fear promotes
the religions would go berserk.
Oh God!
Because they would just totally restructure their beliefs.
Well, that's why I think
restructure my belief, because the Mormons have always believed in the plurality of worlds, and there's other worlds out there. So it wouldn't bother that. I don't think it would bother the Jewish at all, because a lot of the Jews believe in the plurality of worlds. The evangelicals and the Muslims, though, I think they would have a big hard time with it.
Well, yeah, because you have to rewrite history. No one wants to do that. And that's what a lot of things that are found, different timelines, like, well, this shouldn't exist in this time, but it's carbon dating at that time, and then that goes missing. Because you'd have to rewrite your history books. No one wants to rewrite history books.
No.
No,
it's not convenient.
Right.
It's more comfortable in your bubble.
Right.
It really is.
Right. So I think a lot of that stuff just it gets squashed. But I do want to find that Smithsonian Institute that has all that shit. I want to find it one of these days. Oh my gosh. All right. So again, all right, we're running down to our last 10 minutes. I'm going to plug your event coming up for you again here, May 1st and 2nd, because that is right around the corner. And then our event is May 17th and 18th that weekend. So you are going to be doing a book signing here. Are you going to be speaking here as well?
I might be speaking there. I haven't decided yet. I'm a little hesitant because he thinks it's going to be a very large crowd, and I don't usually speak before very large crowds. I want to kind of ease into it.
You know what? Jump in. Just jump in.
That's true. Yeah.
You've got it. You know what you're talking about. It's fun. Yeah. Just talk about what you know. You know a lot. Talk about what you write. You write a lot. You write a lot. So what if you publish these next few books? I think there's like 4 more that you've got coming out. Is that about right?
Yeah, 4 more that I plan on, maybe another one. I know on Christmas I'm coming out with fiction,
Oh, are you? About what?
holiday stories.
Oh, neat.
The first part of the book is all Christmas stories, but the last part talks about different holiday stories from other cultures' holidays.
Oh, neat.
So it's just a really rich, fanciful set of stories. Some are folklore, some are personally imagined. They talk about Krampus.
I was going to say,
Like that. We talk about Krampus. Talk about Christ Child in the Tannenbaum, and so the Kremlin and Grandfather Frost, and so yes, it's a very interesting sojourn. It's nice, poignant holiday stories just for enjoyment that you'd like to curl up and read on a cold winter's eve around Christmas time. And I'm hoping that it'll sell a little bit. On the front cover, there'll be a Santa Claus and a Krampus.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Krampus
it's called Christmas Encounters. It's called Christmas Encounters.
Oh, I like it. I like it. Very neat. I'm in awe of how, I want to write one book. I started one book and I just don't have the time to finish it because I'm so busy reading all these other books, from my shows, and then of course the events coming up, and we build paranormal equipment for the field and doing all that stuff, and it's just life, busy. But someday I'll get to it. And I want to go back to here. So now you can see the books up closer. Okay. So In Search of Giants, Ancient Ozarks, and Alien Harvest. These are readily available now. Y'all should go get them. And let me get the banner back up. This, if you guys have not subscribed to Substack, do it. Right? And follow him. It's an opposite world on Substack. So this is how you can get directly to him, and then just get the app and sign up. There's a lot of cool stuff on here. Do you follow other people on here?
Yeah, I do. Ancient Origins, Childress, several others. Yeah.
So there's a lot of things you can put, just like when you sign up for all these other things, you can click off different categories that you would like to be interested in, that kind of stuff. But, find your people. Your people are on there, I bet. And Facebook, find them on Facebook. Twitter at Ancient Ozarks. And the website, ancientozarks.com.
Yeah.
So you gotta go. You guys check it out. Patty says, "Thank you. Very interesting tonight. Looking forward to reading about giants." Yeah, it's really cool. I'm actually looking forward because I did. You know what? Let me show you guys. I always read the book the week before my show, so it's fresh in my mind. And it's a big one, so I was giving myself 2 weeks to read it. However, last week, I watched this little pipsqueak, okay, who thinks he's a giant. He's this big. His head, his neck is 2 inches. I mean, his paw is the size of my little pinky nail, okay, his little pads, that's that big. Tiny little thing. And he ruled me for a week that it took me 3 days to recover after I got home after watching him, because it's 24-hour-a-day attention. So I myself personally did not get a chance to read this entire thing all the way through. I researched it. I watched him do some podcasts on the other things. I went to the chapters and I marked them on the ones that did spark my interest like this, but I am dying to read it. And then I have, of course, I write notes and things all in my books about what I've already read. So this is going to be one of those ones that's dog-eared throughout, little papers stuck in all, I do colored little tabs, for different.
Yeah, I know.
right on. So
Yeah.
it's going to be one of those books, but it's, what I've read so far, extremely interesting. I know that puppy is adorable. The puppy was adorable. You know, it's my grand puppy, all the way in Massachusetts and I'm in Pennsylvania. So, you know, it was a
I
treat.
love Pennsylvania.
Well, I always said if I
That's
love
my favorite state. That's
Massachusetts,
my
is
favorite
it?
state. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of paranormal stuff here. There's a lot of history here. There's a lot going on. But I mean, I came from a lot of history.
I first came to Pennsylvania on Halloween.
Oh, you
And
got
that
to
was
my house on Halloween.
heck of a time on Halloween in Pennsylvania. I mean, it was just best Halloween I ever had in my life. I really did. There were corn stalks everywhere. It was fall. There was fall leaves. Everybody was bundled up. There was decorations on every corner. It was really cool.
My house was on the news last year, and inside and out. So I had people coming up because my house was on the news. They wanted to see the inside and the outside, you know, too. Because I have tons. I have 3 huge sections that I do, and I decorate the inside. So yeah, I have a shed and a garage that is just dedicated to Halloween stuff. Plus, I have.
Well, I used to do my own haunted house starting when I was 8 years old, and it would be a big block party, and there was there was just people all over the place. We had at the haunted house in the back, the real haunted house, we had a back house that was converted into the fake haunted house. And that's where everybody in the neighborhood was lined up to go see. That back house was converted into the spookiest area you'd ever want to imagine. I was on the front page of the paper.
Cool.
And it was just amazing what we did. And it was legendary for years. It was a yearly event that everybody in the area looked forward to going because it was free. They didn't have to pay for it.
Yeah, right.
Free food,
people
admission,
ask me,
everything was free.
Do you want any money for this? It's like, no, you know, no. Because they kept coming because they seen it on the news, you know. So they kept coming and they're like, do you want me to make a donation somewhere? Like, no, thank you. You know, it's not why
I just want it for free. I want people to come and enjoy it.
That
was the only reason I did it.
Yeah, I did aliens last year. I added aliens, so I built a ship that crashed. I'm a tool belt diva. You know, I mean, I did that.
Yeah. I love Halloween. Halloween is my favorite.
Yeah, I made the ship crashing with all the lights and the bubble and the, you know, and all the whoop 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 lights on it and everything. It was amazing. Smoke machines everywhere. And then like last year I built a big pirate ship. Like people that build these things, they build them out of maybe foam boards and things like that. Not me. I built the thing out of wood. Thing weighed 50 million pounds. I'm dragging across the thing, but I did make it that it folds, so it opens up, so it's like a half a ship, you know, destroyed. But I made a huge mast, and then I got the steering wheel that actually moves, and my pirates, and I have all my skeletons are all dressed, and you know, all that kind of stuff. I made a pirate treasure chest. I have a dock, you know, and water and mermaids and all this. I mean, it's like it's very elaborate. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of lights. Lots lights. And walk, you know, you can walk through each section. It's really cool. So if you go back on my page, look at my oh yes, let's please do that. I love Halloween too. Like it's my favorite time of year. This year I don't know how I'm gonna do it because we have my event in May coming up, then we have the event in July. I'm getting married in September, and then I'm going.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you very much. And then I'm going. I'm getting married at a haunted location. I'm getting married in an insane asylum right at Penhurst, where we have our event. So that's where my wedding is going to be. So you know, so after the wedding, I go away for 2 weeks. To come back, I got to set up my Halloween quick, and then I got another event in November, right after Halloween. So I have to like take everything down and put it all away. And I mean, I've got huge animatronics, you know, so it's like they are Jenga in the spaces so that they can fit, you know. And everyone's like, I'll help you. Like you can't because I know how everything fits in there. You know, it's like you wouldn't believe the stuff that comes out. It's like the clown car, right? My garage with all this stuff coming out. They're like, how are you fitting this in there? You know. But it's fun. It is so much fun, and I adore it. And where we? Oh my God, we're at the end of this show, and Yes, I know. And Marsha's gonna be at the wedding too. It's gonna be so much fun. I got my whole dining room. My dining room is massive. My house is big, and my dining room is massive. It's all wedding right now. I have arches and macrame and flowers and centerpieces and things. They're all over the place. And so it's like so much going on. And then I was gonna try to get a puppy in the fall. I don't think it's gonna happen. Especially not after watching that one last week. I'm like, I don't know if I can get a puppy. I think I need to adopt an older dog. I'm getting too old for this puppy stuff. but anyway, I know I told you when we talked before the show that this show can get off topic very easy. We have our shiny ball moments. So that is what happens. But I do appreciate you spending your time and your wisdom talking about your amazing books. Your mind is incredible. Just keep up the good work. Just keep writing.
All right. Thank you.
And I want to have you back on again, and I want to get some more of the books. So I got to find my exit video here, which is one of these things, and I have to say goodnight to everybody. There we go. All right, so ciao for now. I'm going to see you all next week, and we're going to be talking about an angel coach. Okay, so I will see you all then. Stay here, FK. Don't go anywhere yet. And so, ciao, everybody. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Fox Den with Gina B and Mama D. We are here every Thursday evening from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, bringing you a variety of guests or our own intuitive oracle card reading shows. We are streaming live on Facebook on my personal page and our YouTube channel, the Fox Den with Gina B and Mama D, on Mama D's YouTube channel, Angel Meadows, as well as our audio-only venues. We hope you enjoyed our show and our guest or your reading, and we would love it if you would go to our YouTube channel, The Fox Den with Gina B and Mama D, subscribe, share, and definitely hit that notification button to never miss a show. We'll see you all next week, and subscribers, watch for our pop-up shows as well.